With so much being unveiled at the Adobe Max conference, I just knew that I needed to make another video. And this time we're actually talking about Adobe Illustrator. And although we just talked about Photoshop and the good and the bad about its launch, about the V1 of Photoshop, I do believe that Adobe Illustrator is actually hitting the mark on some really cool things here. And that's definitely what I want to talk about in this video. My name's Leo and you're watching Ghost Paper. So now let's get to it. So today I actually I've rewatched the keynote and I was taking a look at the official blog post from Adobe, and just looking at the official blog post, the first image, I do have to say I was once again actually quite concerned about just looking at this image, seeing the amount of UI on this app. What I'm trying to say is that once again, what if they're delivering an application that is lacking a lot of the features from the desktop version? I do know there is a huge challenge here from Adobe. Adobe's recreating these experiences onto an iPad. They don't want to add all the little tabs and little clicks and little icons because that becomes very convoluted on a smaller screen, which is the iPad. Even if you get the biggest iPad Pro, you need to redesign the UI in a way that it feels like good to actually use those apps. So looking at these and looking at the right side and just seeing like layers and a few controls was definitely getting me a little bit concerned. But then when I rewatched the keynote, there is actually some really cool things happening. And also the fact that the Illustrator app is not out just yet. So they are not releasing something and just like letting us kind of like, decide if we want to get into the subscription model while this app is being developed. But then on top of everything, the biggest strive for this video, the thing that I really want to talk about is if Adobe is releasing these apps and they are actually charging a subscription, they need to actually offer something that the other apps don't have. And that is the biggest drive in this video. And that actually goes into the three things that I actually thought were really cool looking at the keynote. The first one is that I was just seeing like one of the designers building a shape. And he was actually building a shape using the Apple Pencil in a very natural way, almost like drawing. So he was creating new vertex and he was designing things already with the curves. And he was also able to tweak the Bezier points in a total different and more natural way. He was deleting points without changing the overall shape of that vector shape. And that's something that we know from the desktop experience. Once we start deleting points, the shape starts to collapse, starts to get together because there's not enough points to actually hold that original shape. In this case here, it's actually maintaining the shape, and not only that, you're also able to click on some of the remainder shapes, and when you drag them, you're not actually dragging the whole vector. You could actually slide the vertex throughout the edge that you've already drawn for that shape. It's something that I think just watching the keynote becomes way more clear. It becomes easier to understand. The second thing that I thought was really cool is just looking at the bottom left on the UI and the screen, you see a camera icon, and the fact that you can actually import photos or take photos from your designs, and you can raster these photos into vectors. So that's something that, of course, there's other apps out there such as Vectornator, and they say that they do the same thing. And when we look at what Vectornator is advertising or doing, although it's a great app, it's really like you revamped the whole UI and the whole program even to be a better experience. When you see what they're doing, they're definitely showing more like photos, landscapes, and rasterizing them and converting them into vectors. In the case here in Illustrator, what they're doing, what's super cool is that they're, say you've designed the logo, you're able to convert that into a vector line. And with Sensei technology is also looking at the paper itself where you've made that logo, and it's able to detect like some of these smudges and clear those out, like maybe some sketches, some other things you've done around the paper, and only get the logo that you've created, transform that into vectors. And it transforms in a way that you can still edit some of this spacing, you can tweak the curves. It's super, super cool how this feature is actually coming out to be. So it's not just giving you a vector version, but it's giving you a live vector version that you're able to change spacings and make things like bolder or thinner. And I really think that this is one of the features that other apps, the other vector apps on the iPad, they don't really have at the moment. And the last thing that I thought it was really, really cool is that not only Illustrator is going to offer us a symmetry tool, but it's also going to offer us a clone tool, which will allow us to actually multiply elements into around circles, for example, and it's all live, and the ability to transform these shapes will allow artists to actually make multiple versions of a same element. Something that is, again, really, really cool, and I don't see other vector apps on the iPad doing the same thing. So once again, guys, by offering features that they're not available on other apps, all of a sudden I start to kind of understand, or at least like there's a, you can say there's a subscription model and you have to pay monthly, but if there are features that are going to save huge amounts of time and effort, all of a sudden the story starts to change. To give another proper example, if Photoshop for the iPad had come out with the object selection tool that we see on the desktop version, that is really like a super cool feature to be able to quickly find, create selections using AI technology and the Sensei technology that they're creating. And that's definitely going to save huge amounts of time and effort from like a photographer, for example, or a graphic designer that has like a lot of photos that they need to like cut off elements from these photos and create alphas and masks. And definitely putting a price on that feature will make that artist or that photographer decide, do I want to do this manually, or do I want to pay a subscription and actually save hours of my time? And that actually becomes something that allows them to finish the job sooner, faster, and move on to the next one. So there's definitely a reason there. And I feel like Illustrator is actually doing the right thing here. First off, by not releasing the app at the moment, to still be working on this application before it's released with maybe more features, and also offering things that I can say, at least for myself, I'm not seeing other applications at the moment offering them. So I know this story may change in the future. Maybe some of the apps like Affinity or Vectorinator may offer some of these features in the near future, but that will be, of course, a different conversation. Maybe there is a new app that may come out, but until then, I do think that Illustrator is doing some really cool things. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Now, my question for the comment section down below is there a feature that you would like to see Illustrator actually put on the very first version? So as soon as Illustrator comes out, what is the thing that you would like to see for the iPad version? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, please make sure to leave a like to this video if this video was any helpful for you. And also make sure to subscribe to the channel for more news, tips and tricks, reviews, and speed paint videos, and that is all for you to become a better digital illustrator. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.